morning, you guys, it's Karen and I wanted to come and do a review of this. It's the Gosh Foundation Plus. So it's Cover and Conceal. It says seaweed, that's it, seaweed. I thought this was the foundation drops when I first looked. And you guys know I've had the foundation drops before and I quite enjoyed them, and they weren't my favourite of everything. I don't think they stayed on brilliantly. I liked the finish of them. But yeah, I was interested in this. I thought it's obviously jumping on board with all the really full coverage foundations that are out there, and I love the fact that it's in a little squeezy bottle. So I have got it in number 002. It comes in 5 colours and it's £9.99 in Superdrug. And I've got it on today. So what I thought I might do is try and do one of those videos that's a bit more helpful to you guys and see how it wears throughout the day. So I'm rushing about doing quite a lot of things today. I've got to go to the shops, I've got to do stuff in here. So I thought I would pop back in at least once more if I can manage it and show you how the foundation is doing, what it looks like and how it's lasting. But actually on first application, I really like it. I like how I used it, you know, I like how easy it was to use. It didn't dry instantly. It was lovely and thin, but full coverage, I would say. Some people, there's 2 reviews that I can see that are not on YouTube, 2 written reviews, and they were saying that they think it's more of a natural coverage. I think I've got a pretty decent coverage from this that's not natural at all, which is what I want. I want a full coverage, but I did put an extra bit in my T-zone. I did build on it and it builded absolutely fine. Builded? I don't know if that's the right word, built up maybe. Yeah, anyway, like I said, love the way it applied, love the way it looks. I think maybe 002 is too light for me. I'm not sure. I could add in some of my Body Shop drops to darken it and see how that goes. But yeah, so far so good. So let me tell you, I've told you the price. Let me tell you what the ingredients are. Well, I'm not going to read all the way through the ingredients, but what I can tell you is it's perfume free, it's alcohol free, it's paraben free. Is there any silicones? The reason I'm telling you this is these are things that would potentially bother people, and that I personally think it's got some good ingredients in it. It's got shea butter in it, which is very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that in a foundation, and that is number 1, 2, 3. The 3rd ingredient is shea butter. So I think that this might be geared towards dry skin, and I don't know whether it will last with having, you know, when you look at the ingredients, it's not geared towards oily skin, I don't think, but I don't know. It has got talc in it, but it's about number 7, something like that. I'm trying to see if there's any silicones in it. I can't see anything. Let me do a little quick search. No silicones in it either. So that might be very appealing to some people, because some people are very anti-silicone. Silicone is something that doesn't actually bother me, to be honest, as long as it doesn't feel that kind of slimy type feeling, you know. And I think silicone is a good ingredient to have in oily skin products, but no silicones. It has got some hyaluronic acid, the word that I can never ever say, another indicator that it might be good for dry skin. So the product information, it says that is a very covering foundation. Okay, that's obviously an interpretation from something. It's a very covering foundation and concealer in one that gives a natural look and feel. Like I said, I don't feel like I've got a natural looking coverage, but that may be because I doubled up in the T-zone, or maybe I put too much on. I didn't actually put that much on. I only put a tiny amount. I need to give you a swatch, don't I? Let me show you what it's like. I'll show you its consistency. I do agree with the other person that said about this foundation is that it's not the easiest to get out of the bottle, and it doesn't, look how much you have to squeeze the bottle. It doesn't seem as if the bottle is very full at all. Anyway, you can see that there, that's one little pump, and you can see how thick it is. If I keep on using this, it will easily cover on my hand, and I think it'll cover it with a pretty full coverage. So that's the foundation there. I wouldn't say that that's natural, would you? The thing is, when people say, oh, it's natural, or it's full coverage, or it's light coverage, although obviously a lot of it is to do with the product, some of it is to do with how you put it on. So if you know, put 4 drops of that on and then went in with a second layer, it's definitely not going to be natural. If you only put 1 tiny drop on and you used a beauty blender to blend all over your face, then it may look natural. So I think a lot of that is to do with the application. So it says that the benefits are that it's full coverage. Okay, so they're saying it's full coverage but natural. So like I said, I think it's full coverage. I don't think I particularly look natural. Foundation and concealer in one. Satin finish. Yeah, perhaps. I don't suppose it's... Well, it feels like a matte finish to me at the moment. I don't know. How can you tell a satin finish, really? Is that back to that modern matte that I was talking about with the all-nighter? It's just not a flat matte finish maybe? Long lasting, we shall see, with liquid sea minerals, seaweed and hyaluronic acid, moisturising, nourishing and regenerating. I don't know what part of it is regenerating, but there is moisturising and nourishing ingredients in there with those two moisturisers, with the shea butter and the hyaluronic acid. It has an SPF 15 in it. Oh, I didn't even notice that when I was looking at the ingredients. Yeah, SPF 15, that's the only other thing to say. I guess the problem might be finding your colour in this because there is only those 5 colours. I'll be interested to see what 003 is like. I'm actually going to Superdrug today, so I'm going to swatch 003 and see what kind of colour it is. You know, if it's orangey. I really like the colour of this. I think this is a real nice neutral colour. That's everything for now. Let's see how it lasts through the day, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Okay, you guys, this is the first check-in, and this is it's 1:30 now, and I put this on at 6:30, so that's 7 hours ago. I've been out of the house. I did some housework after I filmed the video this morning and did a little bit on the computer, and then I went out and about. So it's been a fairly busy day. You know, I've not been kind of crazy rushing about, but I've not just been sitting watching TV or anything like that. So I'm just having a look in my close-up mirror here. And I have to say, I think it's lasted pretty well. I think you can see that I'm starting to get some shine here. A little bit shiny kind of on my nose and chin. It is disappearing from my chin here, which is probably the greasiest part of my face, the oiliest part of my face. And it's definitely, if I wasn't testing this foundation, I'd probably blot it and touch it up. It has gathered a little bit in the corners of my nose, but again, not very much. This one is worse. Can you see there? It's gathered a little bit, but I don't think it's anything you'd notice if you were next to me. I think the most noticeable thing is where you can start to see the redness on my chin coming through here, just at the bottom part of my chin. I think that's the most noticeable bit of it. My bronzer and blush seem to be holding up okay. You know, and everything else, and I do think that foundation affects your bronzer and blusher. You can't just put it down to the bronzer and blusher and how good they are. If I put it on top of a foundation that doesn't last very long, that goes cakey, then that can mean, like, you know, a split in my bronzer, or no blush at all on one cheek or something like that. So it seems to be holding up pretty well. My lipstick hasn't held up that well. This is the Kat Von D one, and I've just eaten some blueberries and a little bit of chicken, and that's it. And yeah, it's not on very strong, is it? Anyway, this isn't about lipstick. So yeah, I think that's everything to tell you just now. Okay, you guys, so a final look at how the foundation is lasting, and this is the 12-hour mark. So not too bad. I have to say, it doesn't look any different really than it did at the sort of 7-hour mark, does it? Excuse me, I'm eating gum. I should not do that. Apologies about that. Yeah, I don't think it looks any different than it did at the 7-hour mark, but see how it's disappeared here on my chin. I did notice, I just watched the footage of the beginning, because if there was anything wrong with the footage of the beginning, then it wouldn't be worth me keep on recording through the day, if that makes sense. And I noticed that even in my initial application, it was kind of missing here. It wasn't as smooth as I thought. So yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know whether that's good or bad, because it means that it wasn't as perfect as I thought when I put it on, but it has stayed pretty much the same way, other than you can see there's a little bit of shine. I haven't blotted at all. It's disappeared a bit more on my nose, because you can see my freckles more. You can see the red marks around my nose. It's not covering those anymore, but yeah, I think it's held up pretty well. Although I would say that it's definitely eaten my bronzer and blusher on this side now, hasn't it? I've still got a little bit of blusher left on there. But yeah, that's what it looks like now. What I'm going to do is wear it tomorrow, and I might do the end of the review tomorrow, or I'll do it in another couple of days anyway. Once I've had a little bit more experience with it, I'll come back and tell you. Hey guys, it's Karen, and I'm here to complete my review of the Gosh Foundation Plus Cover and Conceal. So I have got it on today, and you hopefully will have seen the videos yesterday showing how it lasted throughout the day. It lasted really, really well. But what I did notice when I watched the footage back was that it wasn't quite as full coverage as I initially thought. It's amazing to me sometimes when you watch back on video the differences, and I would say it's probably about 80 to 90% real on camera, but there's a lot that looks better, there's some things that look worse. Like I often notice that my foundation can look patchy, but in real life it doesn't. So what I noticed was watching back, it didn't look like I had any coverage on my chin. Putting it on this morning, I put an extra layer on, and I've got a video of me applying the foundation, but I still notice it looks a bit odd. And I've remembered that actually I've got a kind of, it's only a very slight, but a little bit of an allergy here that's caused some sort of dry skin. And so I think that that's more to do with my skin than it is to do with the foundation. Like I said, I wore it yesterday all day, and it held up very, very well. You will see from the foundation application that I show you that it's a foundation that definitely needs setting. I feel like it needs setting even if you've got normal to dry skin, because it does look, well, unless you like a really glowy looking foundation. And I've never been able to leave my foundation without powder, so I wouldn't know whether that was shiny looking or glowy looking, if you know what I mean, because I've never ever gone for the glowy look. So you'll be able to decide for yourself when you see it on camera. I think I told you the colour range. There's 5 colours in it, so not a huge amount. It's £9.99 from not from Boots, from Superdrug, and you get 30ml in it. So a really good price. I think it's a really good foundation. I like the fact that it's in this little squeezy tube, although it is hard to get out. I don't know why, but there's quite a lot of air in it, and you do need to squeeze quite hard, but that's okay. It means that you don't end up using too much, you know, but it would be great for traveling. It's a really good coverage, I think, that you can build. I think it would be good for, I think this is good for most skins actually, because it's got that shea butter in it, so it's good for dry skin. There's nothing drying in it, there's no alcohols, no fragrances, etc. And also for me, having oily skin, it's lasted longer. It lasted a lot longer than I thought it would. Perhaps if you've got very oily skin, you might not like this, or certainly if you've got very oily skin, you would need to use a good primer underneath, a really good setting powder and spray, something like that. You know, you might need to put a little bit more work in to get it to last. Yeah, that's everything. Let us know what you think, if you've used this, if it's one of your favourite foundations. Gosh are quite an not very talked about brand, I feel like. And I actually went into Superdrug to have a look at the Giant Sun Powder, because some people have told me they thought it might be a dupe for the NARS Laguna Bronzer. I think it's a little bit too light and too shiny to be an exact dupe for the Laguna Bronzer. It was just a little bit golden, and more like a very deep highlighter than a bronzer, unless there was different numbers. I was looking at 001. Anyway, and every time I look at Gosh, I'm just like, oh yeah, there's quite a few things that I've tried and enjoyed from Gosh. I think it's one of those brands that isn't talked about very much, but then I don't think it's available in the USA, is it? I will link this for you in the UK, and I'll link it in the USA if I can find it anywhere. But anyway, that's everything. Thank you very much for watching, and I will